Did Democratic Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez finally come out of hibernation? The progressive millennial who came into Congress in 2019, guns blazing, has maintained a rather quiet profile in the last few years, but on Friday she launched her bid to become the Democratic top dog in the House Oversight Committee. Her move pits her directly against 74-year-old Congressman Jerry Connolly, one of the more senior members of the committee, as Democrats scramble to prepare for the second Trump administration and incoming GOP majority in both chambers, the House and the Senate.
In a letter to fellow House Democrats, AOC said she understands the Herculean task of leading the panel in the next Congress, writing, quote, "We must balance our focus on the incoming president's corrosive actions and corruption with a tangible fight to make life easier for America's working class." According to NBC reporting, AOC's been shopping the caucus for support since Thursday. Though no one has publicly announced their support, Congressman Ro Khanna told NBC that she is, quote, "very collaborative and that progressives are needed in leadership." The contest will also serve as a telltale sign of whether the Democratic caucus is open to generational change, or if they will stay the course, choosing seniority instead.
Yeah, AOC is a figure that some of the harder left-leaning, more left-leaning progressive guests we've had on the show, or hosts perspectives we've entertained, I think she's been a disappointment to them. But maybe the pitch for her is that she's been endearing herself somewhat to the Democratic establishment in a way she could leverage for more influence like this position. I don't know that she's going to get it, but you might be better connected, or at least having done more reporting on this issue than I have.
So I think that she's a fascinating figure, first of all, and to the big picture element of this, I do think that one of the most interesting changes or transitions with her is how much more, maybe it's unfair to say how much more establishment she has become, but certainly when you think about her very early days in Congress, where there were like sit-ins at Nancy Pelosi's office over the Green New Deal, it's a long way from there to this now much more, you know, she was somebody who, for example, advocated very strongly for President Biden continuing to run, to stay in the race. Then she was a very strong supporter of Kamala Harris. At the convention, one of the reasons that people on the hard left are frustrated with AOC is that at the Democratic convention she referred to Kamala Harris as working tirelessly for a ceasefire, I think was the phrase, in Gaza, which was a view that a lot of people on the left are extremely skeptical of. So I do think it's very interesting. Whether she will get this role or not, I think that there is support for her. But Jerry Connolly is also quite well regarded in Congress. I guess the argument for her would be you would automatically get an enormous amount of publicity for any hearing because if she was leading it, because whether people love her or hate her, she's kind of, you know, she's a fascinating figure.
Yeah, and she is more popular, I think, than some other people on the left, but they might say that she's moved away from the left and doesn't count anymore. She's clearly, you know, I like that she's, she asked her voters, right, on TikTok or on some platform, why did you vote for, how could you vote for me and Donald Trump? And she was actually trying to understand why that might be the case. So she still does have clearly some anti-establishment credit, although I know I see a lot of people complaining about her. Do you think she has aspirations for a different office, either statewide office in New York or the U.S. Senate?
I do think that she definitely has appetite and ambition for something more than the House of Representatives.
Or straight for a presidential run?
Straight for a presidential run, Robby. No messing around.
No stopover in the Senate?
Just straight to the White House.
Need, yeah.
President Ocasio-Cortez. I mean, it wouldn't amaze me if she ran for president. Now, I don't think that she could win nationwide because I think even if we consider that she is moderated to some degree, I just think it's a very heavy lift for her to win Pennsylvania or Michigan or other of those crucial states. That being said, like, I do consider her a very talented politician. And I think what we're seeing right now is a gradual move to make herself more acceptable, at least to mainstream Democrats. You know, right of centre people are never going to like her because they don't agree with her on anything. But I think that she is trying to make herself more sort of a a kind of Elizabeth Warren type figure, maybe. Like, nobody really thinks of Elizabeth Warren in the same way as they think of Rashida Tlaib or Ilhan Omar, but she's still of the left, and I think that is maybe the track that AOC is going for.
I'm not personally the biggest Elizabeth Warren fan. Maybe
so.
even I actually might even like her less than some of those other people you've mentioned, but maybe that's a me thing. There is a lot of infighting going on, or infighting is the wrong word. Healthy debate, because infighting has negative connotation. Healthy debate over the future of the Democratic Party. I'm seeing a lot of kind of centrist Matt Iglesias type people saying, you know, this is a clear indication that the Democratic Party needs to moderate on XYZ issues or fall in line with the Iglesian understanding of XYZ issues, more in line with centrism, you know, become popular, you know, shed, you know, DEI and critical race theory and wokeness, get rid of all that, you know, be more focused on crime prevention and getting rid of illegal immigration, et cetera. And then I'm seeing more progressive people saying Kamala Harris ran the exact campaign you centrist people wanted, and she failed, and that this is an indicator of the opposite, that Democrats need to be more committed, need to talk a bigger game about actually following through on things progressives want. So I see that debate playing out a lot right now.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, battles for the soul of the Democratic Party have been going on at least as long as I've been alive, and probably much longer. Sometimes I wonder if the left versus center-left framing is a bit reductive in a way. I mean, I think that politicians and parties are elected to solve people's problems or help solve people's problems. And I think that one of the difficulties the Democratic Party is facing right now is that it has become disconnected, at least to some degree, from working class concerns and working class voters, and we've seen Donald Trump make big inroads with that contingent. I think that the Democratic Party, to its detriment, has become increasingly associated with a sort of affluent, highly educated white liberal viewpoint, which I don't necessarily mind, but I think is not the way you necessarily win over moderate voters. And I think if the Democratic Party was simply more muscular in defending working Americans, I think that might pay off. Is that a left or center-left position? I don't know.
I don't know. More Rising coming up next. Stay with us.